News. Let's go right up to Mike Lorber in Sky 5 over this high-speed chase. Mike?
The helicopter's trailing it
This
all.
has been going on for about 20 minutes. We've been listening to the dispatch in Esburn. This is a Hyundai SUV that, according to the Illinois State Police dispatch, is wanted for armed robbery earlier this day. This pursuit we heard on the Esburn started off the Bishop Ford Freeway. That's 94. Went back and forth and simply went down to the south suburbs. Almost a collision about 3 minutes ago, where this vehicle, as you can see, an extremely high rate of speed, turned around in Glenwood Dyer Road. Currently, this is northbound 394, and we are about a mile before I-80. This vehicle, I would say at this point, is exceeding about 100 miles an hour. There's one, Max is going to stay with the vehicle here, so what you cannot see is behind it is the Illinois State Police in several suburbs that are coming up on this as well. Several times they were almost able to get to this vehicle, haven't been able to do it as of yet. Behind this vehicle, there are probably about a dozen squads with their lights flashing. So now we're northbound on 394. There's a lot of interchanges here where this vehicle could go several directions. If they go east, they go towards Indiana. If they go west, they'll head towards the Tri-State Tollway, or they may continue northbound into the city, and it looks like that's their plan right now. So this has been ongoing again. This is a Hyundai, and they're saying from this point that this vehicle was wanted for armed robbery. Now it's heading towards the city, so we're northbound 394. As you can see, driving erratically here. This is the Bishop Ford. This is the beginning of the Bishop Ford Freeway, northbound as we get up towards about 167th Street. Again, a lot of vehicles behind this. This vehicle will eventually maybe head up towards the city, and a whole network.
For armed robbery, waving.
Is waiting for them. What typically happens here is the state police will notify other suburbs. For example, this is heading up towards Dalton, Calumet City. Those suburbs may enact their people here to try to catch this vehicle ahead. And again, that's almost happened. There was almost a collision down in Lansing near Cottage Grove, down about Glenwood Lansing Road. Again, this vehicle wanted for armed robbery. They did say in the dispatch they believe there are 2 people inside and they're armed, and they're heading northbound here in the Bishop Ford, right around 159th Street.
And now we are clearly in rush hour too, Mike, and the traffic is getting heavier even as we've been watching this car weaving its way through. He's behind someone right now, just wove his way in front of a semi and is going along the shoulder. So this is clearly an extremely dangerous situation, particularly with the people being armed. Now, as they get closer to this difficult traffic situation, I know every jurisdiction may have a different rule about a chase. What do you know about what we're dealing with, specifically right now, as it deals with the Illinois State Police, since they have jurisdiction on the interstate?
That is a solid point, Marion. So now we're northbound at Sibley Boulevard. City limits are about 1.5 miles away. So once this vehicle were to cross over the Cal-Sag, it is technically in the city of Chicago. I can tell you this, though, I'm looking up ahead now, and I see a lot of other vehicles. And again, we don't want to lose the vehicle. This is not an easy shot to keep for our camera person, Max, here, but a lot of squads are up ahead as well. Typically, in this case, because this is on the highway, this is from the Illinois State Police. We don't know where this started from, but it was down here in the South Burbs. They will continue to pursue. The city of Chicago doesn't often pursue because they are worried and have had issues before where people not involved in the pursuit have been hit either by the police or by the pursuit vehicle, causing damages. So again, let's re-sum all this up for you. This has been going up and down the Bishop Ford. We picked it up here around 147th in the Bishop Ford and went all the way down south to Lansing. This vehicle, a Hyundai, wanted for armed robbery. Of course, it's dispatched, and again, this is what we call the Steel Bridge here. So now we are northbound in the city limits here, just crossed into the city limits. A lot of troopers here seem to be heading northbound after this vehicle. And now we're northbound of the Bishop Ford. That's I-94 near 130. And you've only got about 3 ramps where you can get off here before you actually get into the Dan Ryan Expressway, and there'll be a lot more traffic there. So northbound right now on the Bishop Ford, right around 130th, we can see 2 state troopers that are trailing at about a half a mile. But again, this vehicle has been exceeding on several occasions over 100 miles an hour, driving very erratically. You can see tailgating that SUV that's in the left lane, weaving from the left lane to the right lane, trying to make its way through. So now we're northbound of the 130th, and again, we'll see if they keep pursuing here as this vehicle enters into the Chicago city limits.
And the traffic is getting heavier and heavier, which of course makes this a lot more dangerous. He has come close several times and is weaving in and out of some of these semi-tractor trailers, heavy duty tailgating, and clearly going very, very quickly. That's got to be the major concern right now.
They go up and down on the freeway.
The
driver gets off at I-94 freeway.
Right, so we're heading at 130th Street.
Police cop car
and here comes, this will be on a westbound 130th Street.
So now we're in the city of Chicago, on the streets of Chicago.
Minutes later, he gets off the
so
freeway.
this is the far southern limit of the city of Chicago. The 130th Street, about a mile south of here. That's where the CalSag is. That's the southern limit of the city of Chicago. The vehicle is now westbound of the 130th, heading from the Bishop Ford. Will eventually head towards Indiana. Now, about a mile ahead here is a very dangerous turn where you have to go sharp, basically westbound to Indiana, and then you go north. That is an area that is normally stopped up and a difficult turn, so something might come to a head here near 130th in Indiana. As you keep going, if you keep going westbound here, you'll eventually get back into the suburbs. You can see there's some road work here at 130th.
Now he's going the opposite direction.
Can't show you behind.
He's going the opposite direction.
It looks like he's going to try to turn here, almost hit another vehicle that's heading eastbound and maybe trying to make a turn. What we can't show you behind this because Max has to stay on the SUV here. Again, that is a Hyundai that is wanted for armed robbery, according to Eastburn. Now we've got maybe about a half a dozen troopers with lights flashing here going westbound at 130th. So we're coming up to that railroad interchange here. This is 130th in Indiana. You go underneath and we'll have to turn either right or left here. You've got a lot of vehicles also that come north or south. This is a dangerous intersection as it is. So let's see what the vehicle does here. All right, so it's going to get northbound. This is on Indiana, and again, we're still in the city of Chicago. And then the vehicle, as the state police are getting closer and closer, the vehicle, state police are right behind it as it has to navigate these turns. 3 blocks to 127th Street. We're west on 127th Street, and the police are close behind here. So you'll keep going west at 127th Street, and again, all of this is very, very dangerous. A lot of traffic in the other direction. There's a school bus that's slowing, and it almost went into the back of the school bus, trying to get around the school bus here.
Head on. But
this is a dangerous situation. Let's hope that school bus isn't occupied with kids. The vehicle able to get by here as the police continue this pursuit. This has been ongoing. We've been listening to this, I believe, since about 4:15. It's been ongoing before this, and again, it's traveled probably north and southbound of another 15 or 20 minutes, and maybe about 20 to 30 miles here. Went from all the way from where we are now, near 130th, and now this vehicle's really picking up speed in the straightaway here on west 127. Went all the way down to Lansing, almost collided with a few vehicles, came all the way back north on the 394 here to the Bishop Ford. Now we're on 127. There is an officer waiting for this vehicle here at 127th and Halstead, and that is coming up in a matter of seconds here, so we'll see what happens. They have to stop for the light at Halstead in traffic, and there is another squad that is right there.
But the police right behind.
This fall, heel pain and sore arches won't stop you. Hand-stitched leather boots.
Police are right behind, getting around
City, that's coming in at 127th and Halstead. You'll notice that a lot of the pursuees here are either Illinois State Police or suburban jurisdictions here, as this vehicle keeps going to 127th Street. Now again, we're in a city limit situation where we're going to cross I-57 in a matter of minutes here. The north side of I-57 here on 127th Street is Chicago. South is Blue Island.
how to maneuver.
127th westbound.
Maneuver attempt
See
to
how
outsmart
fast
the
this
police.
vehicle is
Trying
going.
to get away
It is taking it,
from-
even with traffic,
from the
that
police.
we're at 127th and
Driving
Troop
past
now.
all
It's
those
taking about
buildings,
3 minutes to get from
driving
127
past
all the way
slower
from the
moving
Bishop
traffic.
4, that's
And we had a
I-94,
outsmart
towards
maneuver attempt to
I-57
outsmart the
here. This
police.
is a busy
But
intersection.
the police
127th
officers
and
are gonna
Ashland
catch
here.
up to him.
We're by the expressway.
Now he cuts
Now
wildly,
we're crossing
cutting around
I-57,
slower moving
turning
traffic, getting
northbound
onto
here. Let's see if they
I-57
jump
freeway.
on northbound
Now he
I-57 towards the
merges
city
on
here.
as the pursuit
This
goes
is a
by.
very frightening
The pursuit
situation.
went on
And
for the better
at what
part of the
point do you
past
think there may be
15 to
a
20
shift
minutes
in
or
tactic
so.
here,
Since
Mike?
they started
I don't
this
know.
chase, they are
We don't
into
know
an
how far back
hour-long
they are because
pursuit.
you can't change,
This
and we
is-
don't want you to change the
these
shot.
We've seen them gotten close a
Since
couple
the
times,
pursuit
but you
races
can imagine
on,
a
the
significant
driver-
amount of
the
coordination
driver of
between
that
the agencies
SUV
here to try to
was driving
communicate a
fast at
possible
80
path of
miles
where
an
this
hour
person
on
might
Surface
go, even
Street.
though there doesn't
As
seem
you
to
can see, the
appear to be any
it
sort of
was
plan.
only during
It,
the
of
red
course,
light
got way more
happened
dangerous when you
moments
get
ago.
off the interstate
Absolutely.
because it's much more close quarters, and one slight miscalculation can mean a really bad crash. And then you also have
Moments
this as
later,
well,
as
given
he
when he's back
turns
on
right on-
97.
And you've got
Emerge on
this
the-
speed,
on
and
that
anytime you've
freeway,
got this level of
driving
speed, the
erratically, going
slightest
crazy, out of
mistake
control,
can be
speeding
deadly.
up.
And it's a
Drive
very
to
frightening
evade
situation for
police
those around.
again.
They can't necessarily
These
see what's
helicopters and
coming.
airborne
And
police
this guy's
helicopters
definitely
pulling it
driving.
off,
This person
flying
is
it
definitely
over,
driving erratically
following
on the
it
shoulder.
overhead.
There is
in
a
the
suspect
large
continues
curve
on
that's
at
coming up
100
here that
miles an
again
hour.
is another dangerous
They're trying to-
situation where I've covered a lot of accidents.
Two
Northbound
suspects were-
57,
two suspects
when you go
wanted
north
for
of
armed
Monterey to
robbery.
111th Street,
After
there's a
these
big curve
helicopters
that
and
comes up
police
on
airborne
107th
helicopters
Street. If you're
tracked
driving
two
without
suspects in
traffic,
that
it can be very,
SUV.
very dangerous.
And if they
And then
try
we're
to
about
make
a
it back to
mile
their own
away
home,
from this,
they'll
either
play-
turning into the
They
Dan
knew
Ryan,
that
and
they
I don't
can
want to
make
predict
it-
here, but if I had
they
to,
can-
I would say
they
this
can play-
vehicle will
they can
probably
play
head
cool and
east
calm.
as
The
57 goes
driver
east,
weaves
and
in
then
and
go
out of-
right back south on
weaves in
I-94
and out of
rather than
traffic.
heading into the city. They are still pursuing very
weaves in and out of
vigorously, though,
traffic,
behind
going
you
around
see
other
two state
rush hour
troopers
traffic,
that are
trying
trailing
to get
here
away
as safely as
from the
they
police.
can.
These
They're
speeds,
basically about a quarter
not
mile
only they can
behind.
slow him
We
down
also
for
see
sure,
squads now
but
above
he's
on
getting around
99th
other
Street,
traffic.
and there's that
And
curve
now
there.
The police vehicles.
It's going underneath 107th Street on the right shoulder. You saw that Chicago squad going eastbound. They're all communicating in what's called the
ideas to get away from the
network.
police.
They all
Debris
communicate in situations like this
debris
with
smoking
each
from
other.
that
Look at this
cold
vehicle picking
emergency
up speed now,
breakdown
northbound to
roadway
103rd,
continues
and
on,
again
weaving
I-57
its
on
way
the
to
shoulder.
to
This is going to
excess
make
of
a
95
northbound
to
turn,
100
and if you
miles
ever
an
drive
hour on the
I-57, this
freeway.
is a turn
On
around
I-57
Halstead in a
freeway.
matter of about
The
10
driver
seconds
gets
here.
away,
It's going to have to
getting
turn
around
right
slower moving traffic.
and then head
He made it
eastbound
around
towards
to
the Dan
slower
Ryan
moving
merge.
rush hour
They
traffic.
just said on the
This time of
dispatch
day.
that they
This
said there was a
happened in
male
January. This
inside,
happened
and
eight-
again, this
this
vehicle is
happened 8
wanted
months
for
ago.
armed robbery
Let's
earlier in the
let's
day.
listen.
They're saying there's a male and a female inside. They believe that the people inside this vehicle are armed.
Riveting to watch this, but so frightening. And I worry, honestly, the most about the people that they are approaching. They have no idea what's coming their way, except someone that's moving very quickly. And how many times have you been on the expressway and had some really fast driver come up on you and scare you, and your reactions become critical? So it's really a frightening
Getting close a
moment
couple
right now
of
just
times.
to watch this.
Getting around big
and
breaks,
where
just
they're
3
going to
minutes
go, and
ago.
how police can even
The last
manage
5
this.
minutes,
How,
the driver,
what kind of strategies they have to use
tracking that
to try to be
SUV
able
still.
to handle this
This
situation,
hasn't come to
because
an end,
we have seen
but
what
sooner or
happens
later it
when
will
these
come to an end.
when these chases
This whole
go
thing
horribly wrong.
And in a
It
crash.
goes on at
That's
least
so often the
better
case.
part
Exactly.
of an hour.
Now we're on the Dan
30
Ryan.
to 40 minutes.
So
the
now
driver
they just went
eventually
north on the Dan
transitioned to
Ryan.
another
And
freeway.
as we all
It's
know,
only-
a lot more
only
traffic
being
on the Dan
one-
Ryan. So now northbound
one more freeway,
really
and
again
he'll
picking
get off
up
the
that
freeway to
speed
turn
here.
right onto
Northbound
the
Dan Ryan.
residential
We're going to come up on
neighborhood
95th Street here.
He suddenly
Now I
gets
can look
around
ahead
slower
northbound.
moving
There
traffic.
is no
He loses-
traffic on the
he almost
northbound Dan
lost
Ryan.
control,
There's the
almost
CTA red
crashing.
line
But
at
this
95th
driver
Street. You'll see the vehicle
eventually
come out on the other side of that.
has
You've got
one
the Dan
chance to
Ryan.
get away from
Now
the
again,
police.
what's different from the
Speeding
Dan
up
Ryan than the other
100 miles an
expressways, you've got
hour.
exits
Now,
basically every 4 blocks here.
He'll eventually
so they
get
can
off
exit
the freeway
87th Street,
in the next minute
79th
or
Street,
so.
74th,
Next few minutes,
71st.
the
You
driver
get the idea.
eventually
You can
slows
head all
down.
the way north. And we
not
don't see any
quite.
traffic on the northbound Dan
Going
Ryan
down
all
to
the
a
way way up
about
until
85 to
about where the
90 miles an
Stevenson
hour.
is. So again, this is another area
driver
where this
eventually-
vehicle, a
the
Hyundai
camera
that is
crew
wanted for
news
armed
helicopter
robbery, can
tracks
pick up
his
a
every
large
move,
amount of speed.
and they
And now
track
we're
him
exiting
every
again
move
here.
that-
Let's see, we are at
that SUV.
87th
He
Street. So I
he
believe they're
slows
exiting
down.
at 87th
He
Street.
tries to turn right. And
So you're getting into a residential area, and this is rush
Turning right
hour
onto a
still,
wrong
and who
way,
knows what the
onto a
circumstances
one-way
are.
street. Do
School
not enter.
is in session, so there are potentially
listen.
schools nearby that could be part of the problem.
And
They're on
traffic.
residential streets now where you don't have you know, you have to slow down at each street to make sure that you don't run into anybody a lot of times on these side streets. So there could be pedestrians making their way. Fortunately, it's cold. Maybe people, not as many people maybe out walking the streets, but still, you're in a residential area and he's still going well beyond the speed limit. Maybe not 100 miles an hour, but well beyond the speed limit.
You see it right here as opposed to the expressway where you know it's open. These are residential streets and you don't know what's coming up, and this could absolutely cause a collision. I believe we're off of State Street or maybe a block off of this. They got off at 87th Street, went about a block, so we are about 80, coming up maybe about 83rd Street here, northbound on this residential street.
Yeah, you just saw him go over a speed bump. So you're in a clear residential street dealing with speed bumps. This makes it even more frightening. I don't know. I know people are watching, or they can alert people, and that's one of those things. There's no way for drivers and residents necessarily, unless they're watching television right now, to know what's going through their neighborhoods, and other drivers as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, and I think these speed bumps are here because we're off of State Street here, and again, now the vehicle is heading eastbound, but those speed bumps are there because a lot of people take those as alternates for the Dan Ryan and tend to exceed the speed limit there because they think, well, I want to save time getting off the Dan Ryan. Now the vehicle heading eastbound here, and I believe we're on around 83rd Street and trying to stay with this.
I want to buy your house. I can pay you cash for your house no matter what condition it's in. If you need...
Moments later, the driver...
I'm not sure, and I was looking behind here, and we're trying to figure this out. I'm trying to figure out if the state police or the people who have been pursuing even know where this vehicle still is. They may have lost him because we're looking. I'm trying to look
about 25 to 30 miles an hour.
Which I believe is east and around 83rd Street, and they may have lost the vehicle. So if anybody's listening in, this looks like east on 83rd Street. We're about a block or two from Martin Luther King, which is 400 east here. Again, that vehicle bailed off the Dan Ryan, and I believe this is coming up on MLK now, and went eastbound across MLK. So that was Martin Luther King here, and eastbound, I believe, again, this is 83rd Street. And again, Marion, as you were talking about, this is a residential area where the speed limits are about 20 or 25 miles an hour. You've got a stop sign almost at every light here. Now the vehicle going northbound, so we're at about 600 east here, northbound, and a very residential area, and now we're parked. So the vehicle has pulled in front of a home here. We're about 2 blocks east of Martin Luther King here, and we're north of 83rd Street. Looks like somebody got out of the vehicle. What's that, Matt?
The gets out of the car. First passenger gets out of the car.
We've got one person that got out of the car that's behind that tree there. We see in the center, and then one person that is still in the car.
Weren't there to capture him. Like the police,
and we can just see what happens here, but what we don't see, and we talked about this before because we are in the city of Chicago, we didn't see those lights that we saw all throughout the expressway. We've been very focused on the Hyundai here that again was wanted for armed robbery. So the vehicle is parked here, and again, we're about 2 blocks east of Martin Luther King. Got back in the car here now,
into his car
and just north of 83rd Street.
And now
again, don't see any police moving in at this time. Let's see if the vehicle stays here or continues to move on.
Let's listen.
Allison Rosati with Stephen Holt here. We want to thank Marion and Alex for their coverage. This is very surprising, especially after the high speed.
The driver eventually had his headlights on.
The car was traveling at with the armed suspects.
The driver had his headlights on, trying to go somewhere.
Do you have any eye on any type of law enforcement nearby, or is this pursuit over?
Will stop.
So the lights that we saw flashing on the expressway,
but he
and
was
again,
still
if you're
driving
just
for the
joining
last,
us here as the vehicle
within the
parks
last
again,
few minutes or
this went
so.
up and down 394 and up and down the Bishop Ford Freeway.
Within the last,
there were lights the whole
few
time.
minutes or so.
Those lights appear to be gone. Now there is a vehicle. Let me count my streets here. that's coming off of 83rd Street as there's two people inside this vehicle get out there on the
driver
sidewalk.
essentially,
There are
they parked
squads
the
that are
SUV
starting to come west on 83rd Street.
They parked the SUV
So we
for the
are,
last 5 minutes or
let's see,
so.
we're about a block
This
east of Martin
continues
Luther
on.
King.
So
I do see squads,
5
and again, we
o'clock
can't show you
newscast,
that
we're about
shot
to
here
begin.
because
The second
they're splitting
suspect
up. One person's going one
right.
direction, the other's going
The
the
other
other.
right, one
suspect.
person's gone in different
First
directions.
suspect
They're
goes right. The second suspect, the
There
driver
are
of that
squads
SUV,
moving
who was
in. So
driving
we're in
that
an apartment
Hyundai
complex
SUV,
here.
they pursued that vehicle for the better part of an
Again, we've
of
been
an hour.
holding
And
our
we just
breath
saw
watching
something
this
being
They've
thrown
been
over
pursuing
the
that
fence,
vehicle
too,
for an
yeah.
hour or so.
And now,
sorry,
Since
go
they
ahead.
started
I
this
hope
chase,
that
this
people who are
pursuit
watching in
went
that neighborhood there can find
That
a way
drive-
to stay sheltered, since we do
He
know,
got off the
as
freeway
you've been
earlier
reporting,
on
Mike
to
Lorber,
turn
that
right on the
these
wrong
two
way
are
or the
armed.
right way. Wrong
And
way,
they
one
are
way
suspects
do
in an
not
armed
enter.
robbery from
That's what they
earlier
Down
pursued.
today.
to enter that residential neighborhood.
I'm going to
street.
ask you, you can
But
see
they've
there's a
lost the
squad that
police.
just went right
Red
by him
lights
right
captured
now.
it all with pictures flashing.
And he threw something on the
Minutes later,
ground.
they
Nick,
parked
if
it
you
at
can hear
their
me, our
home.
pilot
The
has
driver
the Chicago
eventually
Police Department
took
helicopter.
off
Are they
the
up
last
flying over
5
this?
minutes or so.
So the Chicago Police
Both
helicopter
of them
has been
walking
flying
away,
about this as
acting like the
well, and
police
we've
had
been so
lost them,
focused
but the
on
police
these people that have been winded.
is able
That
to
is
catch up to
important
them
because they
and
have the
take them
same
into
perspective
police
we
custody.
do, which means that they, from the air,
Not a-
can direct the Chicago
The other
Police
person
Department
walking
down
in a
below
different
here
direction for a few minutes
to where
or
these
so.
people are.
Only getting away. Only
So
to
this is the
defy
man that we saw get out of the
David,
vehicle.
the news
Again, this was a
helicopters
Hyundai
capturing
that
it
was
all.
wanted for
They
armed
see the
robbery.
suspect walking.
The Illinois State Police Network, and there you go. There's a squad pulling up right now.
And so
And
many
let's see if we have a
traffic due to
foot
that
chase
rush
here.
hour. The suspect had got away from the police, evaded them
I
for
believe
about
we're on 83rd Street, and I
35
believe
to
somebody is about to be
45
taken into
minutes
custody.
since they got
Remarkable,
caught
walking
after
so
running away
casually
from
down
the
the
police.
street, looked like they
Getting
were on a
away
cell
from the
phone,
police,
and that
the Illinois State Police
car just
cop
rolled
car
up
was
real
able to
fast
take them
and
into
got out
police
and told them to
custody.
get back onto the
But
sidewalk
you
there.
see
Watching another officer approach
more
there.
police officers
I
coming
have to
in.
say, I was
So this has come to an end.
This chase
concerned because
is
of
over.
the fact that there
This
was
chase
an armed
is already
situation, that there
over.
might have been
This chase
somewhat
had-
of resistance
this
or a
chase had
shootout.
ended.
So thank
Special-
God.
Great job to that
appears
news
to be
helicopters and the
ending
police airborne
peacefully
helicopters
with
for
the
keeping
suspect
track of
taken into
that
custody.
SUV.
Right, I believe we are 83rd Street and Martin Luther
We will
King,
listen.
83rd and King Drive. So again, it looks like we're in custody.
Mike, just to confirm, we saw two people get out of that vehicle. This was the one gentleman who turned to the right of the camera. The other person went left. Do we have any idea on what happened to that person?
We don't, and Max, I'm going to ask my camera person because Max was following as well. We saw the other person go in the other direction, eastbound. That was off of 83rd Street, that's correct? All right, so just to sum all of this up very quickly, this pursuit went on for about 30 or 40 minutes. It was off of the Bishop Ford, I-94, went all the way south to Lansing near about 183rd Street, Glenwood Dyer, came back north on 394, all the way into about 127th Street, across to I-57 into the city, bailed off the Dan Ryan at about 83rd and went residential. Police lost the vehicles after a while. They parked, then went north on around 83rd Street, got out of the parked vehicle. One person inside heading westbound. That's the person that's been taken into custody. Looks like a man at this point. Another person went eastbound, and that person, we don't see any other squads eastbound, but they'll probably still look for that person here. This was a Hyundai that was wanted for armed robbery. One person is in custody here after a long pursuit at 83rd and King Drive. And again, we've talked about it over and over again. We thought there may be a collision. This vehicle several times driving dangerously over 100 miles per hour. No collision. A lot of Illinois State Police, Cook County Police, more squads are coming into the area here near 83rd and Martin Luther King Drive.
Well, nothing short of a miracle in the fact that that high rate of speed in that police pursuit, there were no collisions, and even next to a school bus. I don't know about you, but I was holding my breath when it went around the school bus.
Too close for comfort.
Nice job, Mike Lorber and your crew up there in Sky 5 following this pursuit and what appears to be an arrest, and we're not sure about the second person that was in that vehicle, if that person has been apprehended.
And we'll try and stay on top of this. Mike
I would
Lorber.
guess that's why we've got police heading east from here. We're going to keep an eye on that for you. We'll get back to you if we see the police moving in on that second person.
Okay, Mike Lorber and Sky 5, we appreciate the coverage of this high-speed chase through the south side of Chicago.
Unfolding at the top of this newscast, a high-speed chase that ended in the city of Chicago.
Mike Lorber, you're above that car now in Sky 5.
Police have arrested one man here near 84th.
Police had arrested one man. The driver of the pursuit went on for the better part of an hour. The police are looking for that second suspect, so they can take that second suspect take both of that two suspects into police custody. Almost a collision about a couple hours ago. Speeding in excess of 100 miles an hour. Almost close calls to hitting a school bus at excess of 80 miles an hour. Red light cameras had captured. Police vehicles stayed on his tail for the last couple minutes. The driver eventually was caught red-handed moments later. They were able to catch up to them. The first suspect of that driver of that SUV was driving, taken into police custody. This comes to an end. And now we're not done yet. This is all developing story as a high-speed chase that happened 8 months ago. 8 months ago it was uploaded. That pursuit went on as it all unfolded on TV. News choppers and police choppers, police airborne choppers followed that suspect. It ended in the eastbound street and southbound street as well. The driver eventually got out of the car. The second passenger suspect got out of the car as well. Almost a collision. Now 20 minutes later, the driver transitioned onto the freeway to evade police, almost losing control. But he speeds up 100 miles an hour, squeezing past traffic, shoots 3 lanes across traffic, including the emergency breakdown lane. Let's listen.
This is a dangerous situation.
Passing into the city of Chicago as red light cameras flash, dangerous driving, the SUV gets airtime over speed bumps.
These are residential streets and you don't know what's coming up, and this could absolutely cause a collision.
After 20 minutes, they park on Vernon Avenue. 2 people get out. One goes left, the other goes right, trying to play it cool and calm until a state trooper pulls up and makes an arrest. And here on the ground, Illinois state troopers descend on this neighborhood in Chatham, right off East 83rd Street. They're checking alleys, looking for that second suspect.
I see the police and then hear helicopters, and it's like, wow, this is crazy.
Neighbors left wondering why they chose this spot to ditch the car.
The neighborhood watch kind of has a group chat, so we're going to get on the group chat and just let everybody know that, like, hey, make sure you're watching, make sure your doors are locked.
One person interviewed by that reporter. Nobody was injured tonight. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.
NBC 5 News.